Good afternoon, good morning, or good night, class. My name is Jeremiah Lopez, and today I will be talking about the book The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. It's going to be right here. All right, so let's just go ahead and dive right into it right now. So the plot or the summary for this book is going to be a story about a young boy named Huck who runs away from his family, from his troubled home life with his father. He embarks down a journey down the Mississippi River with a runaway slave named Jim. The two form an unlikely friendship and float down the river together. They encounter con artists. They feud with the families, and a number of like different dilemmas that they got to go through that challenges Huck's belief about race, freedom, and what the right thing to do is. The story is ultimately like about Huck's growth and struggle to follow his like coincidence with like the world and like his prejudices against like different races. So yeah, that's pretty much just the plot of the book. And then the book itself doesn't have any illustrations, unlike the last two books that I had, or the last three books that I had a little bit of illustrations in them, but this one did not. So it was just going to be like the cover. And I know some different versions have like a different cover of Huck and Jim riding down like the river together. Usually there's a sunset or a forest background. I think these visuals capture like the essence of the Mississippi River and just kind of that they're floating along to freedom in a sense. But yeah, so it kind of just shows like freedom, exploration, and like a bond between the two characters within this book. But yeah, as far as the genre identification, this is like a mix of like a coming of age and then historical fiction as well as like an adventure type book. I did an adventure book because Huck and Jim go on like this unpredictable adventure, just not knowing where it's going to take them, twists and turns, and a whole bunch of just weird interactions with different type of people and different choices that they got to make. It's also like a coming of age story because Huck ends up maturing in the very end, kind of figuring out his morals and straying away from what he was taught beforehand by his father or his peers or the people that were telling him about race beforehand. And then historical fiction, like I said too, is talking about the pre-Civil War in the South, and it deals with like real issues from real time, talking about racism and slavery, which are huge, I think, to teach young students because they need to understand that this world has not always been perfect, and it still isn't perfect. So learning about the history in books like these that are a little bit more lighthearted, in a way, really teaches them how to, and it allows them to grasp it more, I feel like. But yeah. And as far as a quote, I also put this in my reader response essay. It was the quote where Huck says, "All right, then, I'll go to hell." Because he's talking about, leaving his morals behind with his new buddy. He said he'd rather go to hell. So I think that's crazy that in the beginning he had this really set belief on like who he did and didn't like, right? And then eventually they become best friends and they become these close in such close quarters. So like this moment happens because Huck decides to go help Jim escape slavery, even if that's getting himself in trouble. So that's the reason why I love this part, is because Huck's inner like beliefs finally come out, and he doesn't care about whether it's the wrong or right thing. He wants to do it because he knows it's right, even if like society or the world's telling him that it's wrong. I think this is powerful, and it shows like serious growth for a character, and I feel like that's such a big thing to have within a book, is this character growth, seeing the character grow as a person, and rather than staying stagnant throughout the whole thing. Some strengths and weaknesses of this book. I can go ahead and give you some strengths first. I think it has a powerful message about friendship, freedom, and like your morality as a person. It shows that he's growing. It shows that you can grow. It just takes that one person, and sometimes it doesn't even take a person to grow. It's about what you believe in and what you want to see fit for yourself. As far as like the weakness, I would say like just the slurs and the language in the book. Super offensive to like today's standards. You don't see a lot of books nowadays being written how they were back then because um, society wasn't so soft in a way, I guess, and there's just some things you can and can't say anymore, and cancel culture is huge, and books like these are so sought after and like read a lot because they were really writing with freedom, I think, and nowadays you have to be a little bit more careful with what you say. Um, and then like another weakness I would say would be you can really only read it from like high school level. I don't think that any younger than ninth grade, I don't think they'd be able to comprehend and deal with the situations that are being spoken about within the book because I think it's just a little bit too mature for them. Um, but yeah, so it just maturity wise, I think it's really just for high school students and people that understand that there's going to be offensive language and things that you cannot repeat within a classroom and things like that. But besides those points, this book is amazing. It has great storyline, great plot, great character growth, which is like my favorite thing within this book is that it's just this kid is growing and like he's not staying stagnant. And then as far as the classroom activity, so I had a different classroom activity within my reader response, but then I found this one and I really like it, and I wrote it down on my Google Docs, and it's saying it's called the River Journey Diary Project. So like the students would write a journal entry, and whether they were like Huck or Jim, they could choose, and they would describe like the different events and how they felt during that journey, and whether it was sad, happy, confused, scared. They can include drawings like a map down the river and like what they seen to like just like symbolic figures like going down that whole river. I think it'll connect creative, like being creative within the mind, and then understanding like historical events and like putting things in order, and just really creating that map. I think it's a pretty cool experience. I mean, a really cool opportunity for students to interact with their own emotions and portray them on a piece of paper. But yeah, I think the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is super powerful and it's challenging. It's definitely not an easy read. I know it's kind of more aimed towards high school students to kind of teach them about morality and who they want to be. But I think it offers like a really deep look into like friendship, freedom, and doing the right thing even though it might be hard, or doing the right thing because your morals are telling you, not because somebody else is.